I'm Sister Fury, and this is Fists of Fury.
Let's shoot, man.
Every afternoon for 9 weeks, me and 12 stuntmen on the floor went through a 5.5-minute routine. I believe I had over 500 moves.
Each Smith will attack Neo and perhaps lay 3 punches or 2 punches and a kick on Neo and then be dispatched with. They figured ultimately it was easier for me to just learn each move on the day. I actually got to know the first 10 or 15 Smith's moves, but ultimately on the day they changed anyway. So I really was learning the fight as they would in Hong Kong, which was just on the day.
All the Agent Smith doubles were pretty much auditioned. We auditioned about 50 guys, acrobats, gymnasts, martial art guys, regular stunt guys. Put them through about 4 months of training to mimic the actor Hugo Weaving, as well as learn the fight choreography and develop the skills they're going to need for this.
They have expertise in different areas. Some are acrobats, some are martial artists, some can do performances, that you would only get in a circus.
Are they tough guys? They're tough guys with soft hearts, how's that?
There were Smith lessons where I'd watch them run and then I'd watch them walk and then so I kind of gave them a few pointers, but it wasn't more than a couple of lessons really.
When you see the scenes, you gotta remember that's the real Hugo mixed in with like 12 of the best martial arts stunt guys around.
And action!
And he's holding his own pretty well. No computers. No computers, real deal stuff. John Gaeta takes over and does his multi-passes and composite shots to really amplify the amount of people we have.
I'm totally, absolutely ready for the juggernaut of multi-pass mayhem that is being inflicted upon me by the very well-written prose of the Wachowski brothers. Remember, it's the writers that invite the technological onslaught that you may see.
Right now what we've got here is a motion control kind of setup. It allows us to put multiple Smiths into the scene without having to use the computer graphics technology. So this rig is completely repeatable. Every time the camera goes past, we can get it to do the same move time and time again.
We'd put one Hugo there, film him, and then we'd take the camera back, and then we'd put another Hugo there and we'd film him again. So it looked initially like you would see everyone repeated was Hugo.
By the end of the sequence, there's like 80-odd Agent Smiths.
The complicated thing was working out how we were going to shoot that many Smiths fighting Keanu all at once.
There are certain parts of the sequences that we had to create that we had to map Keanu's face or Hugo's face, and we had to do things with their bodies and their look that are not real.
So the challenge was, how do you generate synthetic humans? And we thought the hardest thing would be generating a human face that had the right expressions. So we built a system that we use multiple high-def cameras, use them to shoot an actor, and then we can reconstruct that actor's facial performance. Every little muscle movement, every mouth movement, eye movement, teeth movement, all of that can be reconstructed so that we can then fly around that with a virtual camera. So we can then stick that onto a live person's body or onto a synthetic body.
The problem with working on actual humans is they're so recognizable. You look at humans every day, you're very unforgiving when you see CG hair or CG face or any of those things.
It would take an animator who was basically the Picasso of his time to actually completely freehand a performance like that.
We basically used those facial performances and we've assigned different performances on every Smith. So we had this whole process of assigning different performances to the different Smiths. So they all do different things.
The bullet time shot in the first movie was a little more practical. The action was shot from a bunch of still cameras. We're sort of recreating, Keanu and recreating Hugo so that we can basically put the camera anywhere and do anything. But the idea was that the camera is always traveling at the same speed, it's just the motion is slowed down.
No frozen motion, that was the mid-90s. We wore different clothes back then.
It's sort of this blend between use mocap where the mocap works and where the mocap doesn't work, where it's just doing something that's just not capturable or just like superhuman, then that's where the hand animation has to pick up. Dynamic simulation is virtual crash test dummies that you can just smack around and they'll react similar to how a human would react if he was smacked by a bull. You can give it an animation and then hit it with a ball and it'll react to the ball but try and maintain the existing animation that you have on it. In this case, basically everyone who gets hit by a pole was a dynamic simulation. As the shots get more developed, we add more and more Smiths, and once the animation's final, it can get passed to the cloth department.
We worked very closely with modeling, with rigging, the animators, because we took inputs from all of those, and cloth was essentially sort of a hub.
All the clothing that you see is the way we actually get it to look so real is we get a cloth sample for each one of the characters, whether it's this piece of the suit, a piece of Neo's coat, whatever, and we basically put it through this device that shoots it from many different angles, and it gives us an approximation of how a particular material reacts to light and different camera angles. Then we put that into the computer system and bingo, we get a realistic looking piece of cloth.
The brothers, they wanted to really have a lot of interaction with Neo's cassock, with his personality, or sort of have a connection with that. Once they were done with shooting, they cleaned them up and then they sent it to us so that we would be able to get a look and feel of the weight of it, as well as how it wrinkled and bent, and as well as try to see how well it fit, and little details like, how many snaps were on there, and how far away the buttons are from the collar. So there was a lot of attention paid to this and Agent Smith's outfit.
Both the animation and the cloth get passed to the color and lighting department, and they're the guys that render it, make it look so real.
We spend a lot of time developing new image-based lighting techniques. We have the ability of extracting every single light in the set so that it looks completely mathematically represented in our computer graphics scenes.
One of the big things that makes any computer-generated object look the way it looks is the way in which the light in an environment plays on it.
If we're ever adding a computer-generated component, we have to be able to know exactly how Bill set his lights. So we use the chrome ball that's over there to tell us where everything was and how bright it was.
Because it's a sphere and because it's chromed or mirrored, it actually reflects the entire environment. So by taking a picture of a chrome ball, you've actually taken a picture of effectively the entire environment. What it's letting us do in one image is measure the color of the environment as seen from any given point. We now have a measurement of the light, of the color and the intensity of the light coming into the point where the chrome ball is.
I would think that the methodology of creating a master content through all those means and then post-photographing it and editing it and all of that stuff, I think that will become common.
Animation's a difficult thing. We had a great animation team working on the Burly Ball, and we had a ton of motion capture, but it's still hard to get them nuances in. I think it's going to be quite a while before people can truly see character animations being completely perfect.
We're so accustomed to seeing fights made editorially, where you see a cut to a guy throw a punch, and cut to a reaction, and cut back to a wide shot, and over the shoulder beat. It's all done through the editorial process, and these sequences are not done that way. There are no cuts. The camera is showing you what it wants you to see while it keeps on moving, and it's just a whole new way of seeing something occur.